Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you and many more. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Daring Dialogues. I am your host today, Shantae Charles, and today is Monday Motivation. We are back here with season 16, and I hope that you have been having a great and wonderful summer thus far. We know that there has been a lot going on this summer between travel issues, between weather conditions.
A little bit of enjoy a little bit of the time that you have. So let's get into it for Monday Motivation. We are reading from Meditations for Black Women, 75 Mindful Reflections to help you stay grounded and find your inner peace. I'm going to read two of these today, and then I'm going to get out of your way for the day. The first one we're reading is called Speak Your Truth. Janet Mock said, I believe that telling our stories first to ourselves and then to one another and the world is a revolutionary act. Meditation. Speaking my truth will always bring me more peace. Reflection. Never be afraid to speak your truth about the things you experience in this world. It is, in fact, a revolutionary act, especially for Black women, to share the things that you go through, first with yourself and then with the people around you. This is because the world we live in asks us to hush and to be quiet. Good morning to those of you who are coming in. The truth about the things we go through as Black women in this society are dehumanizing. Nobody expects you to speak up for yourself. They want you to remain silent, but speaking your truth about whatever it is, whether it be microaggressions, racism, sexism, ageism, or any of the isms, helps you to reclaim your voice. It's important that you speak your truth to yourself first, which means being honest with yourself about the things that you have been through. Sometimes we must tell our stories to ourselves first so that we can process it and then be able to share it. And I often tell people this is where a journal comes in handy. Sometimes people are processing their experiences on social media, but they haven't given themselves time to process it. And so throwing social media into it or into the mix can sometimes be more harmful for that person that's still processing than it is if they were processing it internally or processing it by themselves first. This is how you can live authentically, and living authentically is beneficial for your well being. If you find it hard to say what's on your chest, then start small and safe. Share your lived experiences with people you trust who will give you validation and feedback if you so desire. You need to be able to use your voice. Only you have the power to tell your story fully. Sharing your story with others is how you build community, and community is an integral part of any wellness journey. So, think about this today. What's something that you've been eager to get off your chest regarding your experiences? Share it with someone you trust. All right. The second entry here is entitled customize your life's journey. Jacqueline Woodson, author, says this: if you have no roadmap, you have to create your own. You must be the pioneer of your own life. Are you waiting for someone to come along and help you figure out what you should do with your life? If this sounds like you, then maybe it's time for you to get up. You are the one in charge of your life. The keys to your life's journey are in your hands. Figuring out what you want to do in this world is one of life's greatest gifts and also one of life's greatest challenges. If it's not systemic roadblocks, it's a lack of self efficacy due to internalized societal messaging. Often, we are the first ones in many of the rooms that we enter, doing things that perhaps our family or anyone who looks like us has never done before. Not having an example of how something can be done by kinfolk is overwhelming and a huge undertaking. You're in a position to create your own roadmap, and that's okay. Do not be discouraged. In your own life, to be the pioneer in your own life, do the necessary research and get comfortable with riding solo. You will find yourself at times alone on your journey, and sometimes for a long time. But what's remarkable is that on your way to your goal, you can pick up others along the way. That means creating a community for yourself. Yes, you might be creating your own path, but it's more fun when others are along with you. Having the guts to customize your life's journey will help you to increase your self esteem, build your boundaries, and open your life to many adventures. So, get to it because you've got this. If you're feeling stuck about some of your life decisions, ask yourself, am I waiting for someone else to map out the path for me? Or am I willing to map out a path for myself? So I thought that was very good. The book is called Meditations for Black Women, and it's by Oludaro Adeayo. And good morning to those of you who are coming in. So as we talk about Monday motivation, I was reading over the weekend. I've been trying to slowly make my way through this book because it's so rich with history that I don't want to try to like zoom through it like I would if I was reading a fiction book. I can pretty much read a whole fiction book in a day. But this one is called An African History of Africa. It's an international bestseller, and it's by Zainab Badawi is the author. And I was reading through the chapter on the Kingdom of Congo. I've been interested in the Kingdom of Congo for a while since I did a study about a year ago on hoodoo and hoodoo culture, Gullah Geechee culture, and I started learning a little bit more about how those cultures are tied to the Kingdom of Congo. And so when I saw this book and I saw that they had a whole section on the Kingdom of Congo, I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting this. So I jumped to the chapter because you don't have to read this book in order. I jumped to the chapter on the Kingdom of Congo and I started reading and getting really, really excited. Um, I got excited because I learned about somebody that I did not know. And I didn't come across her in any of my studies either. So it was good to learn about this young lady who was seen as a sort of Joan of Arc type of figure, but she was in Africa. So I'm going to talk about her today. And her life doesn't end well, but we can sort of find some things in her life that I felt was like really interesting. So that's why I want to talk about her today. A lot of us have heard of Queen Njinga, who actually lived before this young lady that we're going to talk about today. And I think there was a Netflix, I want to say there was a Netflix documentary slash movie that was done on Queen Njinga maybe about a year ago. You could probably look that up. But this young lady's name is Kempa Vita, Kimpavita. And I didn't find a whole lot about her online. In the region to actually compile this history. So she probably has a lot more information or got a lot more information than what you would find online. Again, the woman that we're reading about today is Kempa, Kimpa, Vita, Vita, and she lived from 1684 to 1706. So hopefully, learning about her today will get you a little bit more curious about the Kingdom of Congo yourself. About 20 years after Njinga's death, Kempa Vita Nsimba was born in 1684 in the village of Songololo, close to the town of Bakongo in the Kingdom of Congo. She hailed from a noble family of early converts to Christianity. So, again, when people have these discussions about Christianity and when Christianity was in Africa and um, whether or not people were forced into Christianity versus converts, her particular family was willing converts to Christianity. Okay, point number one. Her father was a commanding officer of the king's army. She herself was baptized Donna Beatrice with a Z. Kempavita was deeply religious. She would dream of angels and was credited with having spiritual gifts. She became a Nganga Marinda, a person who can communicate with spirits. Her comments on falling ill with fever in 1704 give a sense of her outlook. Now, in another article that I read about Kempavita, she had fallen ill, and her family thought that she was, out of here, and they had prepared her body for death. And as they were going through the ceremony, I think she had been dead for like 3 days. She came back to life and was like, "What y'all doing?" So I thought that was interesting. Her comments on falling ill with fever, these are her um, written words, okay? I was sick, about to die, when I saw a brother dressed like a monk, and he told me I had to go and preach to my people and go forward. I felt rejuvenated. Kempavita gave away her wealth after this experience and renounced worldly goods. She believed she had a direct line to Saint Anthony of Padua, a major Portuguese saint of the early 13th century, who urged. She founded this Antonine sect, which rejected baptism, confession, and prayer, and incorporated certain African practices such as ancestor honor or ancestor veneration. Kempavita urged people to convert to her style of Christianity, telling them that Judgment Day was coming. So she was a bit of a, we might call her a spiritual revolutionary for her day. She was regarded as a prophetess by her followers, who included Hippolyta, wife of Nusamu, a Vemba, the Portuguese backed king of Congo, and many of the farming population. Kempavita was worried that the Christian faith that was being preached by missionaries was predicated on their sense of superiority over Africans and assigned no value to African practices. So again, you have uh, this young girl who is gets this dream. She's told in her dream, she's encouraged in her dream to start her own faith movement, and as she's starting that faith movement, she's noticing, right, that the missionaries are giving a different gospel to the people, a gospel that tries to erase their cultural identity, a gospel that paints them as superior to the Africans, a gospel that assigns no value to their cultural practices. She pointed to a lack of African saints in the Catholic Church and instead preached that Jesus was African. So, for those of you who think that that is a new notion, here she is in the 1600s, late 1600s, early 1700s, preaching that Jesus was African. Africa. So, yeah. Moreover, unlike Njinga, she was a bitter opponent of slave trade. She was not trying to negotiate with these people at all when it came to slave trade. She was hostile to Roman Catholic missionaries, whom she considered to be too aligned with Portuguese interests. Basing herself at the capital of Mbanza, Congo, she urged the rulers of the divided Congo to unite a kingdom beset by civil wars, which the Portuguese fueled through their support of Nsamu Avemba. She chided the latter for not resolving the conflicts within Congo. These, she said, facilitated the slave trade by creating pools of captured people who could then be sold into enslavement. And so Kempa Vita was all about uniting her people so that they would not be divided by the Portuguese, who were using their division to capture and draw more people into the transatlantic slave trade. Kempa Vita's message resonated, raising the morale of many people. Her charisma and the appeal of her special form of Christianity threatened the influence of the Catholic Church and that of the Vemba himself, the Portuguese backed king of Congo. In 1706, Kemba Vita instigated a heroic but doomed revolt against the Portuguese. She was arrested and tried under the authority of the Portuguese backed king for witchcraft and heresy on the grounds that she had given birth to a child and that as a vessel of God in their eyes, she should have remained chaste. She was burned to death under the watchful eye of Capuchin priests. Although Nusamu Avemba ended up defeating other contenders for the kingdom, civil war became the rule and not the exception in the Congo. After Kempavita's death, her Antonian movement was led by her mother, Ngumi Andi Kempavita. One account by a European priest, Father Lorenzo de Luca, in 1709, who knew Kempavita, described how enslaved people in the ship Nasa Senhora do Cabo wore symbols of Kempavita. In this way, Antonianism spread as far as the Caribbean and Brazil, drawing parallels between people's lives as an exercise fraught with difficulties. Yet I find there are striking similarities in Kempavita's life with that of Joan of Arc, who was born in France and is honored as a defender of the French nation. Like Kempavita, Joan claimed to be acting on divine guidance. She made an appeal to her king to save the people from foreign domination and became a military leader herself, rallying troops to her cause. Joan was also put on trial for heresy, burned to death at a young age, and is remembered as a heroine and icon of freedom. Kempavita's story is important because, as one of Congo's leading academics said, the role of women in African history books is often overlooked. We tend to talk, for example, of the fathers of independence who resisted foreign rule and were public memorials of these women, like those of Kempavita and Njinga. We need to give them more visibility. By the late 1800s, racked by conflict, most of the Congo kingdom had been reduced to decentralized trading villages bereft of meaningful leadership. In Congo, as everywhere in Africa, violent encounters with the Europeans innervated political systems, priming them for the total domination that the late 19th century would bring. Now, I find her story encouraging because it continues to let us know that by their account, to bring about change, to bring about unity. And when those plans begin to threaten the establishment, you will have someone always trying to either thwart those plans, or you will have someone trying to delegitimize her because she's a woman, right? Or delegitimize her role because it threatens the establishment. And so the encouragement I have for that is this behavior is cyclical and this behavior is not new. And because it's not new, we can look at the life of these women and learn from them. And hopefully, we will come into an age very soon to where people will actually listen to women and not see them as a threat to their power systems. We know in the past that women have ruled in the past. We're here in present history and we see women ruling nations, just not the United States at this time. But her story just really fueled for me and confirmed for me that, yeah, this is an ages old problem, not just an age old problem, but it's an ages old problem. And whether or not the United States is going to continue as a nation, I firmly believe part of it is going to whether whether or not our country can move forward and be willing to receive a woman leader, because the Congo kept rejecting its women leadership. That's what happened. Um, and so, yeah, that's what I learned over the weekend. I wanted to share these things with you. I hope that I have said something today that made you think, that encouraged you, inspired you, and made you want to go and look a little bit further. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. We'll be back tomorrow with Black Table Talk, and we'll be taking a look at some of the things that have been happening over the last month. We'll get a little bit into some of those things, especially on the political side, and talk about what does that mean? What does it mean for Black America in this moment in time? Remember, light has been and will continue to be the most daring opposition to darkness. So continue to go out and be light. Be light where you are. Be light with your family. Be light with your friends. Be light in your community. Take care and treat you